Hi everybody, I'm Steve Shaver. I'm here with my son Brian, and we are in New Orleans, Louisiana. We're at the oldest cemetery in town. It's called St. Louis Cemetery No. 1. And we're going to do a walking tour today. We're going to check out this cemetery and see what we can find. So let's go get started and see what's here. Okay, so we're here today at one of the famous cemeteries of New Orleans. This is St. Louis Cemetery No. 1. And so far we've found graves as new as 2010 and some as old as 1778. So we're going to walk around here and see what else we can find. Here's a marker and made out of iron. A lot of it's in French. Ici repose families. These people. See how beautiful it probably was when it was new. Now it's falling apart. Wow. I guess that's how they made them out of brick and then cement over it. Kind of like brick ovens. So I suppose that's what's behind all these cover stones.
Can you believe I retrieved that?
I know.
Okay.
It's right before midnight.
All right. Huh, look at this one caved in. Now the sun is really making the video tough. This one looks brand new. Okay, so we're all the way in basically the back right corner of the cemetery. So right down there is the actual, I guess it would be the top right corner. This is the very back wall of the cemetery, and it goes all the way down there to those other buildings. So it's not a huge cemetery compared to St. Louis Cemetery No. 2, but this is the first, it's the original. And it's really, really cool. We've seen a couple of tombs here with people buried from the late 1700s. Here's a guy here, Paul Pandley, 1855. And then some other family members, 1859, 1864. And let's go check out this one, 1852. Here it looks like an 1853. A lot of them here, it looks like the stones with the names on them fell off. Here's one where the one died in 1950 and the other one's 1981. And then right next door to it, the newest burial in 2003. So, here's one that's old and worn, but actually in really good shape. Alright, let's continue on down. There's one right ahead of us that unfortunately it looks like the nameplate's gone and doesn't appear to be around it anywhere. Yeah. And then right next to that, this one looks like it's December 1835 maybe. So here's a really interesting one that we came across, which is why I wanted to start this video in this back corner of the cemetery, because this is looking at the back side of this tomb. And it looks like a long time ago somebody must have broken in here and looted the graves. There's one down, I guess it's the bottom grave. Some beer cans in there. Here's the one above it. So that's what it looks like when they close you in. You see the backside of bricks and mortar. Let's go to the next one over. Ah, so the plants do grow down. Look at that. Looks like there's another grave below it. And of course over here, it looks like this one was cemented in and someone punched a hole through it. I don't know if this camera's gonna... Oh, it's not adapting to the low light, so... There's lots of trash in this cemetery. It's a shame. But here, let's go back around and check out some more stuff on the other side.
Three X's. They're all drawn in sets of 3.
Yeah, and you know, this grave here, I don't know whose it is, but I read something online about this particular cemetery. We have to try and find her grave, but it appears that...
Yeah, I know the fancy voodoo lady, remember?
Yeah, the original voodoo woman, I guess. The most famous voodoo woman is buried, or not buried, she's entombed here. And I guess people, voodoo people, come here and put X's.
3 X's at a time, I guess.
Yeah, 3 X's, and here's even where some of the people carved it right in, and I guess it was cemented over or painted over.
Chiseled along there.
Here's a fresh bottle of rum. Okay, so here's a grave that is pretty old. Looks like this person died in 1857, and there's 1850, and it's in French. Ici repose, I suppose means here lies, as good as my French is. This one's not that old, 1984. This one is. This one's all worn off. see the hardware that they use to hold the plates up. Marble plates. Here's an interesting little part of the cemetery. Actually looks more like what we're used to in a modern day cemetery where the people are buried in the ground. This actually looks like they might have dug a tomb into the earth and then capped it off with this stone and concrete. Still 1800s, 1859, 1854, 53, 1912. That one there looks like the person was born in 1792 but died in 1820. Not that old. Alright, so here's an interesting little plaque. Société Française des Bénéfaisance. Simply known as the French Society Vaults, this monumental burial facility has dominated the cemetery since its construction in 1848. The section with the smaller openings, an obvious addition of a later date, was for the internment of children. Restored in 1983. So it's like more of like a modern day mausoleum set up. There's the name of it up top. There's even two tombs up there. There's lots of tourists here. Lots and lots of people here on tours. And there's a lot of people trying to give tours as well. Here's where the largest of all of the tombs are. That's actually the biggest one right there. It's actually the tallest here in the cemetery, so. This looks really cool. Let's go walk down this aisle. Here's a little tour that's going on.
Well, they came in here, they got permission to film, they just didn't tell the church what they were going to be filming. And they certainly didn't tell the church they were really going to drop acid.
This is very cool. Ah, check that out, Bri.
What?
Look at that.
Sweet.
Different. They kind of look like chess pieces, don't they? There's a palm tree right on the ground. And it's still trying to grow back up. Okay, so we're almost back to the main entrance of the cemetery, and here's a cool, another outdoor mausoleum. Looks like it's been repaired and repaired over the years. Some parts bricked in. Looks like a lot of it's sank down a lot too. There's one headstone that's if you think about how big a normal headstone is, that's pretty far down there. Looks like one that's been fixed up. That's where it goes all the way down to the back end of the cemetery. And that's all the way to the other side. So I'm in basically the bottom left corner. There's the tallest monument that's here. I guess this is the tomb of the Voodoo Queen, Marie Laveau. Do not X my tomb. Upsets me. Thanks, Marie. Looks like people put these X's all over it.
Now, we can come around the front. Let's see what people left for Miss Laveau tonight.
Okay, so we're on the sidewalk. We're on Basin Street, and this is I guess the front wall to the cemetery, cemetery number 1. As you can see, it's cracking apart here, and it looks like they put, looks like that's a crack gauge. They hot melt glued it right onto the wall. So, I guess to keep an eye on what it's doing over time. And I suppose this is what it originally was made out of, bricks. And then they plastered it over where it was disintegrating real bad. So, that's it. That's the whole place right there. So if you're heading to New Orleans and you want to go see a cool old cemetery, this is it. St. Louis Cemetery number 1, corner of Conti and Basin. And it looks like it's open during the day, normal hours. You got to come in on Basin Street. So, okay, so I hope you enjoyed going on this walking tour with us. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, post them below. See you next time.